Welcome everyone to Shadowhawk Cryptids and Strange Encounters. Today I want to do a video regarding on the continuing topic of vortex and portals. And as you guys have probably seen the last video, well, it wasn't the last one, but I made a couple of videos at two different areas that has been known to have portals in the state of Oklahoma, which is the Beaver Dunes State Park up in the northwest part of the state near the Panhandle. And you know, as you see, the further you study going out towards the northwest, especially out towards the Four Corners area, you do start to notice an increase in paranormal activity. Then you get out towards places out in New Mexico and down in that area, the Four Corners area of out there towards Utah, out by the Skinwalker Ranch. Excuse me. But according to the Paranormal Authority, signs that you could be near a vortex or paranormal, spiritual experience area. Throughout history, mystics believe that certain regions of the world just naturally attract paranormal energy. Sometimes the energy is beneficial, other times it's overwhelmingly negative. These areas go under many different names, but most paranormal researchers these days simply just call them vortexes. Now, people who live near or inside a vortex area rarely ever live totally normal lives. In many cases, seeing flying saucers, ghosts, or strange animals, that's just another part of everyday life. When you're around a vortex, the paranormal stops being a maybe and starts just becoming an unexplainable fact of life. That's definitely true. It's definitely, when I think about it in my case, growing up and being young and experiencing the things that I have, that definitely makes a lot of sense. But if you've ever wondered what happens to regions associated with paranormal activity, vortexes could shed some light on the strangest places in the world. So what is a vortex? Now, a vortex is an umbrella term for an area that seems to have multiple realities overlap or kind of cross over into each other, or where the veil between the normal and paranormal is exceptionally thin. Now, by default, vortexes attract paranormal and spiritual energy and seem to cause paranormal entities to arrive in this world. Now, I want to kind of touch on that a little bit. Now it's probably going to jump deep down into a rabbit hole, but with that being said, vortexes being known to attract paranormal and spiritual energy and seem to cause it, or cause entities to arrive in this world. Now, let's think about that for a minute. Now, I kind of pose a question to people too, and I know this has happened. It has to have happened. Just, between, let's say, UFOs and entities of unknown origin. That could be spirits or some kind of cryptid. Now, are these entities that are coming in by that method into our world? Now, we know that they're confused a lot of times with one another. I mean, surely people have definitely confused spiritual entities, possibly for extraterrestrial type of otherworldly type of entities too. I believe that's happened, where things may have been ghosts, but could have been aliens, or aliens could have been ghosts, or vice versa. But what I kind of want to touch on is when it comes to portals. Now, people see crafts regarding UFOs, unidentified flying objects. Now, could that be the type of entity using that type of transportation because of where they're at in development, in their timeline, or their technology, their development, but yet the same type of entity could be traveling through portals. Now, maybe because they're more advanced, they have a higher maybe capacity. It would have to have some kind of energy higher, intellectual. Maybe they're just in a different time frame, different. That's just another thing to think about when it comes to portals. You know, does one have to use vehicular travel to get here? And the other one may just have to use a portal because they're just that advanced and have that kind of, well, X-Men type of abilities. But no one knows what makes a vortex happen, I mean. So, though there are some areas that seem to have gained their paranormal vibe after serious tragedies occurred there, which, we know that that's definitely everywhere on the earth, how many people have died wherever, but then tragedy, mass people pass at one time under high stress or circumstances, and that energy stuck there, because of so much emotion. Others, however, seem to have be the other vortex seem to be located on ley lines, while still more just have always been that way without any knowing rhyme or reason for it. Now, there are many places around the world that are already famous for being vortexes of one type or another, including these types of areas of high strangeness. Skinwalker Ranch, the Sedona, Arizona, Waverly Hills Sanatorium in Kentucky, and definitely the Bermuda Triangle. And those two places I mentioned here in Oklahoma, the Dune State Park and the Parallel Forest. Now, the Dune State Park is up in the Panhandle, remember, and Parallel Forest is down in Lawton, Oklahoma. Down there, that has a beautiful lake. I love that place. The last time I went down there, I played in a chess tournament down there, and went with a friend, and man, it's just beautiful. It rained a lot, but yeah, very beautiful. But not all vortexes come with a major reputation for hauntings. Some are smaller pockets of strangeness found inside homes or in forests. If you've ever been noticing a lot of strange behaviors around your area, you might have a vortex on your hands, possibly. What kind of paranormal activity do vortexes have? If it's paranormal, chances are that you will be able to see it happen in a vortex. Everything from ghostly apparitions to demonic encounters to strange disappearances, UFOs, Bigfoot sightings, aliens, and more can be seen in a vortex. That being said, vortexes tend to lean towards one type of activity over others, most of the time. So there are vortexes that deal with mostly UFO activities or ghosts, or even just strange sightings of animals that just couldn't possibly seem to exist. How do you tell if you're near a vortex? Well, according to the Paranormal Authority, living near a vortex isn't something most people will ever experience, but it is something that it's remarkably hard to ignore, especially if you've ever encountered something that may seem to have come from that type of energy transfer. Even passing through a vortex can be pretty terrifying or just mind expanding. A mind expanding ordeal. If you're not sure what's going on, watch for these signs. One of the easiest ways to determine whether or not you're near a vortex is the energy in your area. Generally speaking, a strange vibe that you can't fully explain should be a reason to wonder what's going on there. Vortex has similar energy to a haunted house, but often will have it be a little bit stronger. People who are sensitive to energy tend to feel like they're being watched while near one, like they're being pulled towards a certain location, or like there's something sinister urging them to leave. What's interesting is the vibe around vortexes isn't always menacing or strange. Sometimes, such as that type of energy around Sedona, the vortex is a positive one. If you feel like there's an overwhelming feeling of peace around you, you could be dealing with an angelic vortex. Now that's a vortex on a positive note. There are a lot of hauntings and strange occurrences reporting in the area, despite the place having little to no history of tragedy. Now that can be strange too. Vortexes are strange in the way that they work when compared to regular haunted locations. Regular hauntings usually have a single ghost or a set of paranormal phenomenon that's related to a specific event. Vortexes typically don't have an event tied to them. Rather, they're just there. Just an energy. Think of it as an energy field, because that's basically what it is. It has to be this type of energy. And no one knows why these areas behave that way. Well, just can't explain some strange things. With a regular haunted space, you will see one type of activity, ghostly activity. Sure, it might vary when it comes to that type of ghostly or spiritual activity, but it's pretty much clear that it's from a ghost or two haunting the area. When you're dealing with a vortex, the area might have sightings of ghosts and UFOs, or they may have sightings of fairies, ghosts, and Bigfoot, or the case of the Waverly Hills. Could be high level of ghostly activity, as well as some creatures that seem more demonic than they do ghostly. Like attracts like. Means L-I-K-E, like attracts like. Which is why paranormal entities tend to congregate together. This seems to be a cause for many vortexes and vortex creations. A lot of vortexes will have multiple hauntings on the property, despite having little to no history involving the paranormal even tied to it. For reasons unbeknownst to man, vortexes and paranormal activity in general make electrical equipment malfunction in the Bermuda Triangle. Compasses regularly stop, being able to point north. At the Skinwalker Ranch, equipment would just regularly fail. Batteries would drain in an instant. Now, I seen that TV show. That was pretty crazy. That stuff, well, it was happening during the investigations and the documentaries. Paranormal researchers believe that the unknown gains power from electricity and magnetism. Needles to say if electrical equipment keeps dropping dead, regardless of what you're doing, you might be in a vortex. People tend to make remarks about the area that you're in. Maybe could be another. This is true with both hauntings and vortex areas, but it still remains worth saying people tend to pick up on strange vibes, situations tied to a specific location in the area that's really linked to a lot of weird stuff. They'll start talking about it. The difference you'll notice between how people discuss vortexes and how they discuss hauntings deals with the way they warn others about the activity. With a vortex, people don't usually just say it's haunted. They will say something a little more like vague, like something just isn't right there. Now, when you've experienced things that you've never even heard of before in this area, so it's hard to fully figure out why, but vortex energy has a weird way of creating or encouraging paranormal phenomena that is beyond anything most people have heard of. A regular paranormal area might have UFO activity or ghosts, but it still will fall into the realm of typical weird. I mean, when you're in a vortex, you will see things that you've never even heard of. You might even see creatures appear from portals in another dimension. You may see creatures that defy physics. You may also see ghosts that don't really act the way they're supposed to. Vortexes are literally a whole new level of strange and weird. So even when you don't experience something paranormal, you can't help but feel something was going to happen. Maybe deja vu. Many vortexes, the energy throughout the area seems almost intelligent to a point that it can feel like it takes a certain pleasure in messing with people. That happens at Skinwalker Ranch too. While this sign might just be you psyching yourself out, but it can be a sign that the energy in the area is actually wondering whether or not it wants to interact with you. Now, missing time. If you've had cases of missing time moments where you can't simply, you can't see or even think of things when you're nearby, but yet you think maybe you've done something before or have been there before. Some vortexes actually seem to act like gateways into another dimension. This sometimes causes entities from other realms to come out in your own, but it also can lead to temporarily slip into another world for people. I guess that's what I was trying to say. Most of the people who've experienced this seem to vanish on their own for a short period of time, and then when they are around others, when they went missing, those who experience it often claim to be unable to remember they were, or claim to see parts of the place that don't exist. Plant life and wildlife seem to be affected by the energy. The energy of the vortex is powerful, really powerful. In fact, it's so powerful, nature seems to react in strange ways to it. Trees might grow twisted, plants might die out, and animals seem to act strangely there in the area without any natural triggers nearby. The more surreal the natural surroundings tend to be, the more likely that you're in a vortex. You might feel and hear a strange hum, might vibrate throughout your body. This doesn't happen with everyone, but people who are sensitive to energy have a physical reaction to it from time to time. This reaction often is like a low-level vibration, almost to the point that you might feel it, just like a sledgehammer on your body. In rare cases, people who enter a vortex might actually hear the vibration. It's likened to a deep hum, buzz, murmur, or really just a heavy feeling that doesn't seem to come from anything around you. You might even say that the area is buzzing with paranormal activity. That's the report from the Paranormal Authority right there, and I really do like this report, but man, it really makes you think about a lot of different things and how things could be, especially when you see these cryptids that don't make sense, like for instance a dog man. We know good and well, at least in our world, in our dimension, a dog and a man can't mate, so it just doesn't seem theologically possible. but on another planet, or something, one of those types of creatures or another type of creature could just be a normal thing that was just created, and it's using portals to get. I mean, who knows. But that's it for Shadowhawk Cryptids and Strange Encounters. Have a nice day. Peace.